Appreciate it. Very exciting day for us. We're here no matter what, rain, sleet, snow, or shine. We had our signing day yesterday and had our coffee and donuts all ready to go, and our NLIs came through like clockwork, like we thought they would. And now we're just a day later, excited about today to announce our guys. Certainly, we're tweeting them around. Brendan's done a great job getting us out on social media. That's part of the process. Again, like I said last year, it's a big day for these young men. It's an exciting time. Here across the country on the radio, it's their time, a chance to choose their college destination, spend the next 4 or 5 years at that institution. Well, we are 22 signed yesterday, 3 more today, giving us 25. One more on the way, like we thought we'd have, 26 by the end of today. And with those 26 young men, we are overall ACT of a 23 academically and a 3.4 GPA. Both well above the national average, certainly for student athletes and certainly in college football across the country. Very exciting for us. There's a little bit of telltale in our recruiting process. As you guys look at a little bit, some needs we had to certainly address, as well as build depth. I mean, we're still in that phase of signing guys and coming in play, as well as building depth to get our program going, where we are going into year 3. And certainly some guys will play sooner than others. Again, it's all about bringing a great class, addressing some needs early, acquiring, developing the guys we have now, and we're doing it in recruiting one player at a time. So with that, I'd like to open up to you guys. I appreciate everybody coming today, and a very exciting day for us. Just to touch on one thing about our staff. Coach Kilday is our recruiting coordinator. Does a great job. There's a lot that goes into that, a lot of paper pushing and constant conversations with our SID, with our compliance, with setting up visits, with getting our staff organized, with NCAA clearinghouse issues, things of that nature, and certainly of our staff, of our men going out and finding the best players in the region to come to a great university to be a college football player. And it started 7 months ago. I mean, our guys are at camps across the state on their off time in Illinois and Missouri, working big showcase camps a couple days at a time. And that's where we start developing our relationships with the young men we're going to recruit 7 months later to sign them on National Signing Day. I mean, the work that they put into that is unbelievable. It's a great time for us because you get out of the office, you get a chance to go out and recruit, certainly since June, July, and then the season. We have visits on campus that Coach Kilday sets up with guys checking out the football games. We have camps, and then certainly once December 1st hits, we're on the road, and a 7-month process just to build relationships over that period of time to sign this first initial signing class. Still a long way to go. We're going to sign certainly a few more kids, and we're fired up. So it's part 2 of the grind for the Hawks, but the initial signing class is a great one. We're excited. We're building quality student athletes we think come in here and get this program going in the right direction, and the additions are getting much better. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to you guys with questions you might have, and we'll go from there.
What was the #1 area of need?
Well, I think we look at, so on the offensive side of the ball, we have 1 returning quarterback. So to run a college football program and address that, you need 4 or 5. Committed 3, I believe 3 good ones. We'll probably take certainly 2 more in that class, but build depth. You know, Nick will be a redshirt junior, so with 2 left, now it's a chance to come in and hand one of those 3 guys the football. And I sell recruiting. You know, people say, well, how do you know, when you have 4 or 5 quarterbacks, it's interesting in a program, but at the same time, when you recruit them, it's about competition. Those 3 guys decided, you know what, they know who signed, they actually knew who committed, and then they knew who signed. To them, it's about competition. That's what makes you better. There are 3 quality young men there, a quarterback, and they're going to come in here and compete, and we always say in recruiting, that was our selling point, not only at quarterback, but all the positions. Very rarely, and there's a misnomer out there, very rarely can you go to any college in the country at any level and start as a true freshman. From NAIA, Division III, Division II, 1AA, 1A, and our selling point was come in and compete and see where you fare. At the quarterback spot, we're going to hand you the ball with competition, and we'll compete, and Nick Lonergan will tell you, he's got a chance to be driven now by other players. 3 pretty good players. I'm sure you guys have researched them, watched them on film a little bit. They can play. And now we have a competition in that group that's going to make all 4 of those guys better. And let's just say in a year or two, somebody's going to be handing the ball as a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore. And you get a chance to start for a couple of years in college football, you can count on one hand how many guys start as true freshmen across the country at any level. 3-year starters, probably the same. You could play for 2 or 3 years in college at any level. That's a pretty good career. That was the biggest need for us on offense. Continue to build depth offensive line-wise. We can never have enough of those guys. A little short. Injury really hurt us last year. And then lack of continuity with those injuries. And then trying to find just those 5 starters and then build depth from that was very challenging. So we're still addressing that. We started off initially with some guards, a couple centers, Eli Tom in there, junior college kid, great student, opportunity to come in and play right away and finish out this college career. Comes from a great, certainly a junior college program, and brought leadership, brought quality, brought academics, brought character. Again, regardless of where you're from, we're not just bringing you in. We want to meet you, we want to talk to you, we want to work you out. He's going to be a good one. We're excited about him. Still trying to address the tight end spot. We have a couple guys back in the program. We're still looking for a few more there. Defensively, trying to shore up the D-tackle position. We have a couple guys right now on the fence. We're deciding whether they want to commit and now sign at this point. You got to bolster up a solid defensive front. We got to get better defensively, and with that comes bigger bodies up front. We graduated a few guys up front. We have the bookends back with we graduated Rydell and Conley, 2 great players for us. I'll bring back a couple guys, but so immediate need for depth, height, weight-wise, maybe come in and play as a true freshman, as well as build depth in that regard. Linebackers, we found a few of those. Certainly T.J. Daniels could be a great one. Fortunate to get him, 240-pound linebacker. That's very active, very athletic. But you return 3 starters there, and then that's where the depth comes in. Who are the next in the fold from our recruiting class last year and now this year, and go in and play again early for us? You'll see, you'll see across the board, we're still going to be young next year. The 44 freshmen that we redshirted last year are going to be competing for starting jobs, certainly on special teams and certainly on offense and defense. So the great thing about that is just what we sold, a chance to come in and play at Quincy University early. So we're fortunate enough to redshirt a lot of those guys, and even the redshirt sophomores played last year's redshirt freshmen. Excited about what our future holds. Still going to be young, but now it's work in progress. Now you get a chance to start just like we thought you could for 2 or 3 years. You get on the field and learn in your first year by internship quality, by stats. You're not sitting on the bench behind an All-American. You got to go in there and make your mistakes, have your successes. And again, by the time you're a graduating senior, we're hoping that it all fits together. And that class is a few years away now to where you have those 15 or 17 seniors you recruited 4 or 5 years ago that now are your marquee guys. Secondary was pretty short up last year. Have a lot of corners returning in that capacity, and a lot of young corners. They're all redshirt guys. So outside of Jason Harkins returning, and really you have 3 or 4 other guys competing for a starting job on the outside. And then the last one is that we have a couple specialists that we're going to sign here that are going to be big for us. I was on the radio this morning with Josh and those guys, and they saw the long snapper on there. Well, you never notice those guys until something goes wrong. They're always automatic until something blows up, and they're like, well, who's coaching that position? And boy, they got to shore up that spot. Well, Jake Thomas did a great job for us last year on our snapping. We're getting better in our extra points. Our kickoff's got to improve, so we're going to go out and find a guy or 2 here, scholarship-wise, and certainly bring those guys in to compete as true freshmen. It's a great selling point. Great selling point to come in and play early.
Coach, you've got a core recruiting area, it seems, within a couple 100-mile radius of here. How much have you zoned in on that part of the country? That's
since I got hired here, that's probably nothing different than any other coach in the country, but it's so important. You're going to recruit your backyard. One school may not have a kid for 4 or 5 years, but if you're not in that school, you're not going to get that kid that shows up in the 6th year. But for us, it's working inside out. Obviously, from top to bottom, the state of Illinois, obviously our proximity to St. Louis, but that's where all our guys are signed again this year, outside of a few. And for us, it's a great perception of where we are 3 years going into our 3rd year about what the high school coaches think of how we're operating our program, what our organization is like. Their kids are on campus, they're at games. We're at the high schools, we're watching the games on Friday night. It gives, again, the old statement, as a high school coach, your responsibility, among others, is to give your kids an opportunity to go on to the next level and play at another college. Well, Quincy now is becoming that next college in the state of Illinois, obviously. We're giving them another option because we're doing things the right way. We got a good product we're putting on the field. They see the kids that we're taking. We're giving their kids credence when they come on campus. Our staff's doing a great job of evaluation. We're up front, honest in the whole recruiting process. We're getting a lot of positive feedback with that. So for us, it's a natural. We're always going to start within that 3-4 hour radius. We're going to start right here and work outwards and continue to work the local product. You know, some of those kids, you know, when you live in a certain place, sometimes those kids don't always stay home. You know, and that's any college in the country. Some guys want to stay home. You know, there's so many things to that local young man, that student athlete, that it's always the tough one because they've lived here their whole lives and they want to continue to stay. Grandparents want to see them play, aunts and uncles, high school coaches, or they've grown up here their whole lives. And you know what? They always say, hey, we can always come back. Let me go away, spread my wings a little bit. So we'll continue to work with the local guys, and that's always going to be our goal. And the guys that want to choose Quincy, we have to be right for them. You know, sometimes it's a little difficult when you're in the backyard. You know, there was 2 young men we recruited in this recruiting year that were local products, but had never been on campus at Quincy University. And Coach, wow, we had no idea this is what you guys have to offer academically, socially, and we live here. So it's kind of funny that they see the athletic parts, but they don't really get to the interactions of your coaching staff, meeting your athletic director, meeting the administrators on campus, meeting professors on campus. So it's still a hidden gem, and we're still getting our name out there.
Not a single running back on the list. Is that because you did such a good job last year and you've got a little bit of depth there that you could afford to do that?
Yes. We returned Dante Flowers. We returned Sterling Ross, a little banged up at the end of the year, gave us some production. Jared King did some positive things for us. And Chris Harris was a big get for us, who going to play a ton as a redshirt freshman this year. And we're hoping that combination of players does a great job. We actually have one guy that didn't have his paperwork in yet, but is a nice addition for us, a bigger back that we're excited to get. So in that particular spot, there's a couple guys that will come in and be able to be a part of that group and then fight for their spot. But right now we feel we have depth at that position, what we're trying to do. And certainly at fullback, we returned Greg Eierleman. Troy Johnson's now redshirt freshman. Cole Bifer's now redshirt freshman, 2 fullbacks. So those guys are starting to be able to get a little bit of depth in that position by just each year that passes.
Coach, at what point do you sit back and assess a recruiting class as, you know, being a positive? I mean, everybody's excited and great, and this is wonderful. At what point do you really say, 2-3 years down the line, that, hey, we really knocked it out of the ballpark?
Yeah, I think you have to. You get excited about building your program one player at a time. Now, for us, our first recruiting class, I'm interested to see when they're seniors. It's the numbers, you know, what your retention is like. With guys staying in the program, staying in school, that this turned out to be the best fit for them. It's a process. You know, I laugh at around the country, all the changes that happen at Division I level. Those coaches don't outlive their first recruiting class. And it just amazes me because that's, again, look at the high schools in the area, football, basketball, soccer. If you're fortunate enough to win early, that's great, but you're probably going to win the highest amount of games when you're junior and seniors. So, in all honesty, it's to the graduation point. You know, it's 2-3, it's probably 3-4 years till that senior class is now ready to graduate. And then that junior class is playing with them. They become seniors the following year. So to me, it's the 4-year cycle, to be honest with you. And for us, Ben here, building depth is huge for us, as well as finding players. We're not at that stage yet where we're just, you know, can stop at 26 players, and they were the best in the area that we could find, and then that was it, because we have so much depth. Now, we're going to sign, hopefully, another 26 young men to build our program depth-wise. I mean, you witnessed the depth that we struggled with offensive line. The last year was brutal. I don't know if anybody could have overcome that. You know, 15 starters out for the year, 5 on defense, 10 on offense, and 4 on the offensive line. Well, hopefully now, a couple more years, we have that depth in the program that now our class might not be as big. Because now you're targeting those top guys that a class will be maybe 20 or 25, that'll be it. But you have guys returning, and then then the cycle just kind of filters through itself. So we're excited about that part. Still twofold for us. We're not at that level yet where we're signing guys to come in and compete and win. We're still at the level we have to sign players, and we have to sign a good number of them to keep them in the program to become solid number 2s, number 3s, and eventually fight for a starting spot.
Just one more, just on the local kids from our perspective, Jared Rockhold, Grant O'Brien, 2 solid character kids, good football players. Just your thoughts on those 2.
Yeah, that's a big part for us. Again, football is how do you say, it's the product of what you see, but for us, we're really looking at character, integrity, work ethic, effort, recommendations. Jared Rockhold was a guy we recruited the first time around, and that's a tribute to our staff. Well, we did such a great job the first time. Who was the first phone call? It was us. So he thought at that point in time, he had thought, again, all players look at different places and they feel that's the right place for that. That's a tough decision. Didn't work out for him there. Decided to come back. Coach Kilday certainly had a great relationship with him in the first part of the recruiting process. Tough kid, can run, help us out depth-wise in the secondary, as well as compete for a starting spot. So there's a guy who's 1 year older, which to me, maturity is always a positive thing. A guy that can be on special teams. So a local guy that now all of a sudden found his home can excel, acquire and develop his talents as a redshirt freshman, a little bit older, represented to going last year. So we think it can help us the physicality of him on defense. We thought it could flat out run coming out of high school. Grant O'Brien, excited about, same thing. You know, I can remember sitting in the exit interview with him and his dad. He plays so many positions. And dad was like, well, how do you know what his best, he was trying to figure out, where are you going to play my son? And my answer was the same question he had was, not sure. We like him in the back end, like him in the secondary, can help us on special teams. He's active, he's athletic, but it's our responsibility to put him in a spot where he can excel. Sure, it could be a wide out, it could be a DB, definitely on special teams, but another guy that's physical, can run, and they're the football qualities that we look for. You got to be able to run and hit. That's the physical part of the game, and we think he fits that mold.
4 more guys, Tom, from Central State 8. I know that's Coach Gilday's influence, obviously, but it speaks volumes about what you're getting over there and the quality of that conference.
Chris, since day one, since we started this whole thing, and I think you guys see it, I know I see it, there's some pretty good players that we're getting. And for a program that's on the rise, that's selling volumes of what our staff's doing, what our school represents, who we're bringing in here, what the high school coaches think. I mean, it seems like it's more of an option for them, for their kids, to say what we're doing. A, come in and play early and help get that culture changed, get that program turned around. And those guys are following other pretty big-time players. Chris Harris was a big-time player, recruits for us. Robbie Kelly showed me a better quarterback in the region that lit it up more than he did. So we get fired up about those guys, and that's the relationships that our coaches are building with that staff. And as you guys know, it's about relationships. We're in their homes, we're in their schools, we're watching them play basketball, and it's, we got a great sell here. It's the best kept secret right now, going into our 3rd year, and it's starting to be unveiled for what we can offer academically, what we can offer athletically. And Chris, you know as well as I do, those guys were the big men on campus. Well, right now where we are in our program, you can be that at an early age here and come in and play. Going back to my opening statement, if you can start for 3 years, boy, that's a heck of a career. Whether it's a Division I school, Division III school, Division II school, you can go for 2, wow, that's a positive experience. Right now, these guys know they can come in and play early for the Hawks, get it turned around, and stay close to home. Robbie Kelly had a lot of offers at different places. And for us, this was the right fit for him academically, certainly with the ability to know, with Nick Lonergan getting ready to move on here shortly, somebody's got to be able to take snaps for us.
Where do you stand, Tom, I guess, in trying to jumpstart this thing with trolling the JUCOs and trying to find what you can? I know you got one pretty good offensive lineman out of Butte. Heard some scuttlebutt that maybe you were looking at more. Was that sort of how the process unfolded, or was that something, a conscious decision that you've decided just to take one and maybe do that sporadically?
We took a hit, Chris, on the offensive line since I got here. A couple guys that had come down, committed, decided not to come. The injury riddle last year, the graduation of seniors, there's a void there. And that's what we have to fill immediately in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish offensively. So right now, that's probably where our junior college presence is. Maybe defensive line. We've got one or two guys there. Still built on a high school theme for us, but there's some needs that we just can't overcome immediately. But you can. You're playing true freshmen. That some might be physically ready, but they're still freshmen. You still got to go through those growing pains, and we have to find more of those guys. So really, that's where our junior college presence is. You know, don't feel. Look at our conference. There's some junior college quarterbacks. There's, again, quick fits there. We haven't recruited the junior college quarterbacks since we've been here. Tailback, not there. It seems like it's the big guys. It's O-line. And I think just in general, in all recruiting signing days, they seem to be the toughest to get. Finding, because coaches can't put their finger on it a little bit with height, weight, size, when can he play, what his weight room numbers are, does he wrestle, I mean, and what their void is on their team, really. And then defensive line. Those guys are tough to get as well. We're getting some good football players. We have a couple on campus here shortly that we think have a great motor. They're not going to be the 6'3", 6'4" defensive tackles that you see across the country. We have, look at Tanner Day, look at Andrew Schmeichel, two guys we have returning. A couple more guys we're looking at that they're tough to come by. You know, we're fighting with, believe it or not, some 1AA schools, some top-ranked Division II schools for the same kids. You know, those 6'2", 265-pound defensive tackles are the same guy that across the region, 4 or 5 different level schools are looking at. So really, Chris, to answer your question, it's just those up front guys. They seem to be the toughest to recruit yearly and build that depth. Once we get to that depth, you know, I think we'll be better off. But you know, we want to run the football. We want to play a physical style of football, and we want to be able to defend that style of football and push, come, and shove, and stop people on the goal line and shut the door, get better on third down defensively. And we think you can do that up front. Again, all of our back end guys are young and back, but difference makers. A little bit older maturity-wise, O-line and D-line are probably the top 2 spots that I think you always look at. And certainly because of the situation we've been in, that's been tough to overcome. Running out of numbers, our depth is not very good. We got to replace that in a hurry.
Have you felt you've had to mend any fences on the local/regional recruiting scene? I know you're not here to talk about the previous regime, but do you sense that at all, that you had to, you know, kind of build those relationships back to where they maybe were?
I think anytime you take over a new situation, it's just a common theme of that leader and that organization to go out and sell what you're selling or show what you have. Yeah, there's no question. But to me, it wasn't go out and mend, it was go out and be yourself. And this is how our program attacks our local community in a positive light, with selling our academic program, selling our school, getting more people out to the game, putting a winning product on the field, recruiting their kids, doing community service, all those things that reflect in a positive light on our football program. I think it's just the norm. So, to answer the question, yes. I don't know if it was, hey, listen, we have to get together as a staff and we have to go fix some things. No, we just go out and do what our philosophy is. That's to build relationships with everybody. From CYO leagues, high school coaches, to parents, to be at games, to see their kids play, to take local kids, and the rapport we're getting is fantastic. And that's just part of the process. And that's what makes what we're going to be here when it's all said and done a pretty great place to live and learn and go to school and play college football, because I think it becomes all of a sudden a great viable option. And once they see the young men that we've recruited that are from their own areas be successful, then it will come, there's where the pipeline begins. Because it was good enough for Robbie Kelly, or good enough for Chris Harris, or good enough for, and they come here and have great careers and do well academically, and their families can see them play. All of a sudden now, you know, people are knocking your doors down to get into school and come play here. So I think this is the normal process as a college football program, and what you try to do in order to show them what your organization is all about. And I really think our staff has done a great job in doing that and getting out and tirelessly working, and they do a heck of a job. And that's who we are, and I think they appreciate that. Anybody else from the crowd? I know we got some football fans in here.
you tell us anything about the 3 kids that signed today?
Let's see, Cleveland Red is Rockford, Illinois, Auburn High School. Great looking young man, strong safety. Again, going back to what we talk about, and our staff always talks about it. We don't have anybody that looks like that. And all of a sudden we're getting a lot of guys that are starting to look like people that we're playing against. And Cleveland Red was a steal for us, and we're fired up to have him in the back end secondary. Golly, he's 6'2", 6'2 and a half. He's 200 some pounds. He's an outside backer, spin down safety type of guy. Justin James, local guy, we just got 6'1", 230. Tweener, guard, tight end, H-back, fullback, great get for us. And a third gentleman didn't get his paperwork in yet, but they are the additions.
Coach Mick Londrigan was the other one.
Mick Londrigan, a D-line guy, going to be a good football player, 245, 250 pounds for us, D-tackle, kind of some of the needs we talked about up front a little bit. And then more to come as National Signing Day kind of unfolds, and we're starting to get phone calls, and a lot of kids that thought something was happening didn't, and our staff's ready to switch gears. Now, as we talked about, the grind's starting to come. Now we have to really pick it up and finish the month of February, and hopefully we'll be done by that time, if not, a little bit of March before we start spring football. Anybody else? Well, thank you so much for coming. Continue to look at Quincy Hawk football. Continue to follow us. Continue to follow our players. They're doing a lot of positive things, certainly as student athletes, but certainly in the community, and that's very exciting for us. And we're slowly building this program, this organization, one player at a time when we talk about National Signing Day. We looked at each one of those individuals, and we felt like they were a player, student athlete that can come in here and pretty much we can identify with what we're trying to do and how we're getting this program pushed in a positive light, in a positive direction. And then we add those guys to the guys we have in-house. 68 players right now after graduation. We had our third morning workout today, and the attitude, the demeanor, the work ethic, the effort, our weight room, our morning workouts, it's a lot of fun right now. Our guys are really giving great effort, and that's what we're excited about. And we're fired up to get these guys here on campus and get 2014 underway here shortly, spring football, and certainly get to August camp, and we'll be ready to rock and roll for an exciting 2014 season. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Good job.